I'd like to know how to say good morning.
Yes, teach me.
You're listening?
Yeah.
Kalimera.
Kalimera?
Beautiful.
Oh.
How about good evening?
Yes, what's good evening?
Kalispera.
Kalispera?
That's not difficult, is it?
Kalispera.
Maybe you are saying you're too old to learn? I'm going to test you now. Can you remember what good morning was?
Calamera. Casamere.
And what about good evening?
Oh, I've forgotten already.
What about hello?
Yes, sir.
But as I know the language, that we tend to think that everyone will speak English. And we accept that, and we don't try to speak their language. We don't put enough endeavour into learning the languages. I think that is a fault, really.
Obviously, for a holiday, I wouldn't have really liked to have gone to all the effort of learning the Greek language, but maybe I would have made an attempt before I came to, as I said, learn the basics, so maybe communicate with them more easily.
Well, we're trying to pick words up while we're over here, because we said we wish we could speak Greek when we're talking to the Greek people. Wish we could understand what they say. It does make a difference, I think.
They all speak, all shout, and they speak in our language, actually, as best as they can. And we found them all very friendly, yeah.
But you don't try and speak to them in their language?
No.
Not a chance.
No.
Can't even read the letters.
I'm afraid I haven't mastered my own language yet. Welsh.
This is the Corfu most tourists see, the Corfu of the package tour and the commission-seeking courier. The laissez-faire economic policies of the Colonel's junta in the late 1960s and early 70s coincided with the boom in foreign tourism. Corfu was the first Greek island to be exploited. Massive, indiscriminate hotel building on previously idyllic beaches and bays. An airport with up to 50 flights a day in summer. A proliferation of gift shops selling tourist trash masquerading as ethnic art. So how has all this affected traditional Greek life and values? Dimitris Bouas, Corfu businessman.
The bad effects don't stop here. They extend to the inner structure of the society, the family. We have an increase in divorces. We have an increase on VD and abortions. We also have a higher rate on drugs, especially among the young people. I think it's 8 to 10% the divorces, 20% the VD and the abortions, and a little bit more than 25% the drugs effects. I remember when tourism started in Greece 20 years ago, most of the tourists, they came here for our archaeological interest, for our museums, to see Acropolis or so on. But now they are not coming anymore for that. They are just coming here because they just want to meet people. They just want to spend a fortnight or a week under the four S's. You know the four S's? Sun, sand, sea and sex.
There is another side to Corfu, and one that's well worth discovering, where traditional values still survive and the generosity of Greek hospitality outweighs the commerce and the cashing in. Andonis Kostaiolas, boutique owner.
It's not necessary to learn Greek. It's just a few words. I mean, with 50 words, it will be very big difference in her life in Corfu. Because now, if they know 50 words, they can know Corfu. If they don't know that 50 words, they stay in the system of the tour operators, and that means that they don't see Corfu at all. That is the reason that they must learn a few words. It's so easy. No 50, 25.
Sifnos Island in the Cyclades. It's one of the islands where Greek actress Katia Dandoulaki struggled to teach me some Greek for some of the Greek language and people programs. Sifnos was only discovered fairly recently, and it still has a chance of planning its tourist development before the big operators move in. But some Greeks I talked to on the island were already afraid of losing their Greekness. Others welcome the foreign tourist as long as he or she respects the local traditions. Yannis Vassalos represents the Tourist Association of Sifnos.
Do you think tourists have made any difference to Sifnos?
In one way, they do difference to this place. I would say tourists, they help Sifnos in a way of making the locals have a living, you know, on it. The other way is they have the effect of making people rushing, you know.
Do tourists understand the old traditional Sifnos ways?
Sometimes, you know, it's difficult for them to understand, you know. They just come over here and say, spend our holidays, you know, and have a fun. And sometimes they don't really respect our traditional ways of it. But I want to say this, that we need the tourists because we live by them, and they must feel, you know, they must feel like being something like home.
Well, I suppose one way of respecting traditional Greek culture is to have a go at speaking their own language, rather than expecting them to speak English all the time, or German.
4 coffees, 4 coffees, Greek coffees.
Ah,
With a little bit sugar. 4 coffees.
4 coffee.
Yes?
No fear.
Yes.
Greek coffee? No.
Greek coffees,
Greek
yes?
coffee.
Yes,
Okay.
it's okay.
I think it's in some time this island is with big tourism at the end of this island, and one friend of us had told us that now it's possible to see nature, to see the fishermen and some Greek people. But I think it's the end of this now. In some years if the big tourism is coming, it's not good here. I think there comes many discotheques and many shops with tourism articles, and the kindness from the people is not so much than usually.
I tried to start with Greek 2 years ago, but when you are in business, when you work 8 hours a day, when you also do a lot of hobbies in a good way, then there is no other time for learning a language, you know.
Do you think it would help meeting Greeks too?
Sure, it helps a lot because you become more warm with them. Also, when you speak just some words, they become more friendly to you, especially in the villages in the backcountry. I saw that when I stayed in Crete this time again for 2 weeks. When you speak just some words, it's more fine for them. You are more accepted.
The most important tradition and the biggest celebration in the Sifniot calendar is the festival, or panegyri, of Ascension Day, Analipsis, 40 days after Easter. The focal point of this panegyri is the icon of the Virgin Mary, and the person responsible for the icon is known as the panegyras. This year's panegyras, Alexandros Vernikos, shipowner, explains the significance of the panegyri.
Τα πανηγύρια αυτά είναι κατάλοιπα, κυρίως, της βυζαντινής και της πρωτοχριστιανικής εποχής και κυρίως της εποχής του τουρκοκρατίας, όπου η έλλειψη τότε των μέσων επικοινωνίας που έχουμε σήμερα και των περιορισμών, αλλά και η θρησκοληψία που κατήχε όλους, παρήχε σαν μοναδική διέξοδο συναντήσεως, ανταλλαγής απόψεως, τη συγκέντρωση των κατοίκων, που ιδίως εδώ στα νησιά ήταν ξεχωριστής σημασίας. Ιδιαίτερα στα χρόνια τα 400 της τουρκικής σκλαβιάς, τα πανηγύρια αυτά ήτανε ο τόπος συναντήσεως και ανταλλαγής απόψεων για τη διατήρηση και την επιβίωση του ελληνικού έθνους.
The holy icon is transported from the house where it's been kept all year to the home of the person who will look after it for the coming year. First, it must do a round tour of the whole island, calling in at every village on the way. With a ceremonial loaf of bread at its head, the procession starts out on foot on its way to the capital, Apollonia. Then the icon is taken by local bus to the port of Kamares. Greeted by unseasonal thunder, the locals are joined by pilgrims who've arrived by ferry boat from Athens and the port of Athens, Piraeus. And next, the icon takes to sea.
Θα περάσει η Παναγία, επιτρέπεται η Παναγία.
Some 60 years ago, a terrible plague of locusts threatened the inhabitants of Sifnos. Legend has it that the icon was carried throughout the island from village to village and miraculously drove out the plague, saving the islanders from starvation. Small wonder that the icon is still venerated for this miracle and transported with such elaborate ritual today. From the ferry boat, the icon is brought ashore by a fishing boat, escorted by the local clergy and notables, and by representatives of the Orthodox Church from mainland Greece. Its landing place is the site of another island legend. The icon was lost many years ago and, by a miracle, was found here by a fisherman, shining up through the sea. To honor the event, a church was built called Chrysopigi, Golden Spring. It's considered the rightful home of the icon and is now the scene of the culmination of the religious feast. The assembled pilgrims are blessed by the Bishop of the Cyclades. The traditional Ascension bread is broken, symbolizing brotherly love and marking the start of the more secular feasting. Revithia, chickpea soup, is the traditional meal for the hungry pilgrims.
Είναι ρεβίθια. Σε όλα τα πανηγύρια συνηθίζουμε ρεβίθια και κρέας με πατάτες.
While the good people of Sifnos tucked into their revithia and kreas me patates, Katia and I went to meet Stavros, one of the island's oldest inhabitants.
Only.
My first question to him was, "Τι δουλειά κάνετε? What job do you do?"
Κύριε Σταύρος, τι δουλειά κάνετε?
Πολλές δουλειές έκανα, πολλές. Στα μικρά μου χρόνια ήμουν αγκιοπλάστης, έκανα τσουκάλια.
He was a potter.
Ναι,
στον τροχό.
Μάλιστα.
Ναι, είχαμε ροχά μου, δουλεύω στο μυαλό, στο βαθύ.
Ναι.
Ύστερα πιάσα καμάρες. Καμάρες, είχα μαγαζί.
Καμάρες, ναι.
Καφενείο, ένα καφενείο. Παντρεύτηκα.
You got married.
Παντρεύτηκα από τον Αρτεμόνα.
Είναι δουλειά να παντρευτείτε.
Πιάσεις καμάρες, είχα βάρκα, πήγαινα τα ψάρια, πήγαινα στο παπόρι.
I couldn't resist asking Stavros his age. Πόσο χρονών είσαστε? How old are you?
Πόσο χρονών είσαστε?
78.
No, that's
something
78, oh yeah.
As the evening wore on and the Retsina flowed, Stavros began to feel a bit of Greek soul coming on. Kefi is what they call it. True to Sifniot tradition, at the age of 78, he's still a deft turner of a poetic phrase and a toothless tune.
Right. Right. Oops. That's right.
Υπάρχει κι άλλος τρόπος για να το κάνετε? Κι άλλο? Is there any other way to play? Αυτό είναι πιο γρήγορα, this is more fast.
It's extremely advanced worrying there, yes.
Πού είναι το φαρμακείο?
Φαρμακείο?
Ναι.
Κάτω, την αγορά δεξιά, κάτω.
That way. Oh, no.
Τι να κάνουμε?
What does that mean?
What can we do? You see, we Greeks are very philosophical about things.
What's the phrase?
Τι να κάνουμε?
Τι να κάνουμε. Very good.
Στην υγεία σας.
Στην υγεία σας.
Γεια σας.
Χαρήκαμε που τα ακουμπάτε.
Γεια σας.
It's strong. Είναι φοβερά
Ένα καφέ, παρακαλώ.
Τι καφέ θέλετε?
I knew there'd be a catch.
Παρακαλώ.
Μήπως έχετε μουσακά?
Όχι.
That means no, does it?
No.
No. Right. Μήπως έχετε σουβλάκια?
Όχι.
ψάρια.
I know. Why don't we ask him what he has got?
That's it. Εντάξει. Θέλετε τίποτα άλλο?
Τσίπρα.
Ορίστε.
I do.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Στο Θεό. Στο Θεό.
Στην υγεία σας.
Υγιένετε, καλώς ορίσατε. Καλώς ορίσατε.
Αγαπώ και μ' αρέσει η ζωή και μ' αρέσει η ζωή γιατί εσένα αγαπώ. Κοντά σου ευτυχία χορταίνω, μακριά σου πεθαίνω.
Dawn next day in Sifnos sees the final stages of the panegyri. The icon is now transported by Kaik across the bay to the medieval village of Castro. Here, the procession will escort it on foot again, passing from church to church, from hand to hand, and finally delivering it to the house, where it will remain for the coming year. It's a tradition that has an air of eternity about it, tourism or no tourism.
Υπέρ των ευσεβών και ορθοδόξων χριστιανών. Κύριε ελέησον, Κύριε ελέησον, Κύριε ελέησον. Υπέρ του Αρχιεπισκόπου ημών Δωροθέου και πάση της εν Χριστώ ημών αδελφότητος. Κύριε ελέησον, Κύριε ελέησον, Κύριε ελέησον. Ετιδεόμεθα υπέρ ελέου ζωής ειρήνης, υγείας, σωτηρίας, επισκέψεως και διαφυλάξεως πάντων των ευσεβών και ορθοδόξων χριστιανών, των κατοικούντων.
Tourism is, of course, essential for the survival of most Greek island communities, and many would have died already, perhaps, without the economic support of the tourist industry. So there's no point in merely waxing lyrical and romantic about the death of the donkey and the fading glories of fishing and farming. Even so, I still wonder how far tourism in Greece can go before it destroys the very thing many visitors come in search of, Greekness itself.
Όλα τα χείλη των ασεβών, των μη προσκυνούντων, την εικόνα σου τη σεπτή, την ιστορηθήσα υπό του Αποστόλου